Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 20th of 2023. Happy Saturday everybody. I hope you're all having an amazing weekend so far. And there's been a lot of things going on right now over at Lucasfilm between Indy 5 and what's happened at the first screening to the public. And overall, what's also been happening between John, George, Dave, and Tony, as in Tony Gilroy, on really becoming this new dream team, if you will, for Lucasfilm to really propel Star Wars in a better path, and I do have a lot of faith in all of them, by the way. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support, and without further ado, let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that there's a lot of things going on, not just with Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte, given that those two projects, by the way, have been in a very uphill battle with not getting delayed, and really a lot of setbacks have just been a common thing for those two projects, all because of Kathleen Kennedy's failure, her overall poor leadership skills that have impacted the cast and the crew. I mean, it's been a very tough process for Disney to deal with this. And Indy 5 is at the top of the list of problems too. We'll talk about that a little bit later, given that it is a Lucasfilm project and it adds only more, problems to the list. What's interesting though is exactly what Bob Iger recently had to say about Kathleen Kennedy and how it does signal the beginning of the end for her time at Lucasfilm. Alright, we're going to be tapping into this right now. So, with Kathleen Kennedy scrambling with the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Indy 5. However, she recently has been caught up in the middle of a big change over at Lucasfilm. One of the big switches that recently took place that was authorized by Bob Iger was by actually forcing Kathleen Kennedy to leave a major Lucasfilm project. Bob Iger recently had to state the following to the fans. We felt it was best to shift Lucasfilm's leadership with many of our upcoming projects, and this involves those like Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie and Mandalorian Season 4 that Kathy won't be overlooking anymore. We felt it was the right decision to have John and Dave work on their own with those projects and many more, and it's something that we have been meaning to talk about to the public for a while now. Kathy is still dedicated to her work on Acolyte and Skeleton Crew along with our upcoming 5th Indiana Jones film. Now, let me just stop here quick, guys, before I get to the next thing about what Bob Iger talks about. So, basically what's happening is that she is no longer producing, no longer in charge on any level on the business end of things for Mando Season 4 and the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie. Now, mind you, even though the Dave Filoni film is not arriving until at least 2026, she still had some kind of control over the film. Not on a creative scale, but more or less on a business level, on the financial end of the spectrum. Really kind of limiting the budget, doing this and that, etc., etc., and she's no longer producing it. Jon Favreau is producing it. And that's great news, by the way, because it's about time that we get somebody like Favreau being the main producer on a couple of projects, especially Mando Season 4. Now, John and Dave have stated this multiple times that they're going to be on their own with Mando Season 4 and their Dave Filoni-centered film now, and Bob Iger is finally coming forward that Kathleen Kennedy is no more on those projects. She is and has been removed as the producer and is not being involved in those projects, so she left those projects. And I think a lot of it may very well have to do with their very low confidence levels in Indiana Jones 5. Now, you guys may recall, just like yesterday or the day before, at the Cannes Film Festival, basically the first wave of reviews, even though it's not many, let's be real, it's not many, but it is a first wave of reviews for critics, they weren't all that impressed by Indiana Jones 5. It had very poor comedy, not a lot of laughs, the humor was dry. That's just to say a few things there, but moving on to the main subject here, what's interesting about this that I think a lot of fans come to realize is that Kathleen Kennedy, getting her out of these projects is like pulling teeth. It's very difficult, and it's very hard to get that done in as little time as possible. So that's why they want her out by August, and basically her removal over at Lucasfilm depends on the success and/or failure of Indy 5. The biggest question of all is, what is failure considered to Disney? What would be considered failure on their end for Indiana Jones 5 with the box office margins. We do know that they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie and very little on marketing to save revenue, which shows that they have no confidence in this project at all. They're expecting it to bomb, basically. Moving on. He goes on to elaborate. However, she will no longer be producing and overseeing said projects that we just mentioned, he says. It was a necessity to us to allow Mr. Favreau and Filoni to have a full creative mind, to open up to our audience and their dreams come true, and we are right-sizing our full slate of Star Wars installments right now to fine-tune our timeline and release of shows and movies. This was nothing personal against Miss Kennedy and strictly a complex business decision on our end that we really can't disclose at this time. We wish everyone the best and never intend to wish bad for anyone. We are hoping Indy 5 turns out to be a great success, and we are relying on a good first impression from the other day. I thank everyone for taking their time, and us appreciate that. Thank you. Now, what's interesting about Bob Iger is that he really comes across like he is hoping that Indy 5 succeeds. Well, you know, they're all gonna say that, obviously. You can't just say, I hope it fails, because then we can get Kathleen Kennedy out. He's not gonna say that. But, so of course, he's gonna say he hopes this movie succeeds, and they kind of said the same exact thing, by the way, when they made that statement about the fall of the Star Wars Hotel, aka Galactic Star Cruiser. They gave us some weird statement like, oh, you know, it's unfortunate that this did not turn out the way things did, but we can learn from our failure of creating better experiences. They didn't really say that they're sorry or apologize to the fan base for not delivering a proper product or an experience, whatever you want to call it. And it's never like they have to apologize. It's never that they say sorry. On at least the Disney Parks side of things, they never do. So this September, by the way, the Star Wars Hotel is closing. If you have family and friends that have an interest of going, it's going to be no more in the coming months, and it's probably hard to get in there anyway, now that a lot of people know time is limited, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do well. So anyways, guys, it's interesting, though, about what is happening with Kathleen Kennedy. This is like the first phase of things going south for her. And that's what Disney and the executives are really relying on to get her out of Lucasfilm by this August. It's all reliant, like I said before, on specific margins of the box office results for Indiana Jones 5. And again, those margins are a little bit of a mystery. What is considered bad to Disney specifically? The only thing that I think may worry a lot of the hardcore fans out there are the common moviegoers that may very well give this movie 4 or 5-star reviews, or, you know, very well, you know, paced reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. So overall, I would really like to hear what you guys have to say about this whole situation below in the comments. Everything ranging from Bob Iger to Kathleen Kennedy. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.